Hey and welcome to Neverwinter with Arrogant. So I've been doing a bit of testing on my wizard. I worked on my build, getting my stats at a decent place. Ignore the way over captive combat advantage. That's just so I can have an augment instead of a striker so it doesn't throw off my test results. More about that later. But as per the title of the video, I've been finding my wizard has been outperforming my rogue. I started my rogue in December the 15th, 2019, having played for a total of 38 days and 13 hours on it. My wizard, on the other hand, created August the 10th, 2019, actually before my rogue all things, but I have only played on it for 18 hours and 23 minutes. Nothing compared to my rogue. And so it's hardly likely I have all of a sudden become better at playing the wizard than my rogue with the amount of time I've spent on the rogue versus the wizard. And my data is showing me that indeed the wizard is outperforming the rogue. When I do my tests on the rogue versus this dummy here, which is considered a boss but not actually control immune, but that's not a problem for the rogue, but it is for the wizard, we were getting our DPS to be around this, nearly 500k. And that's not bad all things considered, with the band of air being essentially nerfed, gone. Before that, I was getting like 600,000 encounter DPS, and the Band of Air nerf has dropped that down by at least 100k. And just keep in mind, this is on a striker companion build, so this damage is excluding what your active companion could deal, which is going to be around 60 to 70k depending on exactly what striker companion you are using. That's a topic for another video. And so again, like here's another test, 498k. Now, am I by all means the best, let's say, rogue player out there? No, not by a long shot. I've only been playing it for like maybe a year, seriously at least. Outside of that, it was just building it up, running campaigns and some random queues. But you really have to run that master content, that latest content, like Hardcore Vault of Stars, etc., that really pushes you to the limit on what you are going to have to perform on that character. Just doing random queues really isn't going to give you much experience, but it will over time. Learning to carry, let's say, random players and groups. And so again, nearly 500k encounter DPS on the rogue here, 498,000, 499,000 if you want to round that up, with my very recent DPS check there, like 485,000. And to put it in comparison time-wise versus what I'm going to show you on the wizard, 495,000 here, with that being just over 1 minute with like essentially 2 artifact calls. So you'd begin with an artifact call where you'd use your artifact, use your daily and mount power with your encounters, and then once that minute goes by you use them again and then you stop the log. And so let's jump over to the wizard and you can see what I was using. And we're going very simply with a thaumaturge build. That's it right here, getting our stats nice and high, again with that augment companion instead of a striker, simply just to not have that striker companion damaging the dummy. Big reason is because you're going to have to use this boss dummy right here, and he's not exactly that tanky, unfortunately, even when you select the higher item level scaling for them. And having a striker damaging him while I'm damaging him, meaning he won't have enough hit points to actually last 2 artifact calls. And the big reason we have to choose this guy instead of the dummy is because of our Shatter Strike. He needs to be control immune, and the dummies are not control immune. Otherwise, we would lose a decent chunk of our damage, which we were, and I was wondering why I wasn't getting decent damage on my wizard. So, with this setup and attacking this dummy, again, just starting off with our encounter power spam, and then going with our artifact mount and daily. That would be our general rotation. We were getting over 500,000, 505,000 encounter DPS to be exact. And this again is not on a fully optimized build. I can do better, I know it. I could get like Mythalar set instead of what we have right now, which is just boosting stats or combat advantage, because I missed that. But still, that is higher encounter DPS than I was getting on my rogue. Could I do better on my rogue? Probably. I could go out there and do more tests on the rogue, trying to get every single piece of damage out there. I could do more practicing, but I've spent significantly more time on my rogue testing it. And on top of that, Path of Blades is hitting both the dummies right next to each other. That's why the combat advantage is not 100% there. That means we're gaining extra damage hits from Poison Thorn, Demogorgon's Wrath on that dummy. So we're actually gaining more damage than we should. And so it's actually in favor of the rogue dealing more damage, when in fact, we're actually obtaining more damage on the wizard. So absolutely, the wizard is going to be pretty powerful. It's at least going to be pretty effective compared to other classes. Is the rogue #1 spot in DPS right now? I wouldn't say so. Not anymore. Not after the Band of Air is gone. The cleric shot up there. The fighter, the ranger, they've all become very close. And I was getting my ass beat by a warlock in the new dungeon, albeit that's because a lot of the fights are a mix of AoE and you need to be pretty versatile. And on a rogue, it's harder to be both AoE and single target without sacrificing some things. And so with the wizard purely on single target damage matching the rogue and actually beating it by a bit definitely means the wizard's going to be pretty good. And that's me not even properly testing the Arcanist Paragon. People can be really good at the Arcanist. Personally, I found it a bit struggling, and that is because you gotta time your encounters. You gotta make sure you're not completely spamming. What I was doing on the Thaumaturge, again, literally spamming my encounters. I have everything bound to one button and I just click that one button and everything gets cast. Ideally, of course, I'll have my Ray of Enfeeblement for the buff, cast that first, and then the other 3. And then that was about it again. Very simple to play the wizard, at least from what I'm getting. And if you get a person who's more experienced on the wizard, they most definitely will be out DPSing the rogue. This again is like my rogue DPS check here versus my wizard DPS check. And I've only been playing the wizard for what, total of a few days? That's it. I've only just recently got my builds optimized. I've spent this evening literally just testing and getting DPS tests, getting that damage increased. So indeed, the wizard will be pretty powerful going into the next mod. Again, this is all the preview server and it could get nerfed, and maybe this video will do that. Who knows, people would be really mad at me, but I don't think so. One thing to keep in mind though is, yes, the wizard could be good and all, it could be easier to play than let's say the rogue for more damage output. Just keep in mind, the dev's intent is to balance the classes, and that's literally why the wizard is getting buffs. It was performing really badly. If the wizard turns out to be dealing a lot more damage in endgame than other classes, or at least dealing a bit more, then it'll most likely get rebalanced down. So don't get caught out thinking, oh, I'm going to play the best class in Neverwinter, I'm going to be so OP. You might be for a few weeks or months until they decide they're going to nerf it. And then you're going to be all there sad because you invested all this stuff into a class you maybe don't even like just because you want to hit those top of the pain giver boards. Again, keep in mind, don't get caught out in thinking you need to go and upgrade a wizard character just because it's going to become all the hype and probably be like overpowered. The intent is to balance all the classes. So just pick a class you're going to enjoy playing. And if you've already started out on the grind to get a character to max, focus on that one class first. Once you have one class to max and you can start farming endgame content, it'll only get easier to go and build up more characters. Just wanted to make sure I express that to you guys so you don't end up spending needless resources on upgrading a wizard when you might not even like playing it, or you should be just focusing on that one class which you began grinding with. So right now, the wizard is definitely a bit better than the rogue, I must say. With that said, I'd like to give a special thank you to all of these channel members for helping me keep my channel going. And if I presented this well, consider leaving the video a like, and if you're new around here, consider subscribing. We'll see you guys around. Goodbye for now. Damn, I seriously need some fashion for my wizard. The one I showed you at the beginning was the one I originally leveled up, which had all those adventures completed. But unfortunately, this is the wizard I'm going to have to max out because it has the most rerolls. That's literally why I'm going to do it.